Isn't it obvious by now that we are really in hell realm? Sometimes I wonder what people want to see first for them to know that we are in a hell realm. Like what do you want to see first to be convinced that you are in a hell realm? Or you're waiting for someone to tell you? You're waiting for a higher power to tell you that, hey, yeah, you are in a hell realm. We have been programmed to be very optimistic, so optimistic that even when things truly suck, even when things are not making sense, we want to believe that things are making sense. Like we're so optimistic that no matter what happens, people want to have what they call a positive mindset. I've been to so many funerals where the person that was being buried like died a horrible death, and people still found a way to be optimistic. People found a way to make it seem as if the things that that happened to that person happened for the right reasons. Like that's how we've been programmed as people. That is why we're indifferent to the suffering that other people go through. You see other people suffering, you still want to tell yourself that everything is happening for a good reason. There is something out there that knows why all of this is happening, and it has our best interest at heart. It's making us go through the things that we're going through for the right reasons, for the reasons that we ourselves will understand in the end. My most viewed video was a video titled "We're in a hell realm that should be obvious by now," and that's true. We are in a hell realm that should be obvious by now. It doesn't make sense that some people still don't see that something is really off. That is why I was asking, what do people want to see to be convinced that we are in a hell realm? We're indifferent to the suffering of animals. You see what animals are going through, but you like, they're just animals. Like, no, they're sentient beings, they're conscious. Some people are living in countries where there's wars every day, children dying of hunger because there's wars. They don't know how to like really survive. They're not having a good time. You are comfortable, and so there's a part of you that feels like what they're going through isn't real. Like we are in a hell realm. There are a lot of people in this world who are suffering, but they don't want to talk about their suffering. They don't want to talk about the things that they're going through. You know, it might not be things that we might like you know consider to be um, a big deal, but they're still suffering. Some people who unalive themselves because they're going through things that a lot of people don't even think they should be stressing about, but it's a big deal to them. A hell is a place where a conscious being is suffering and they don't know why they are suffering. They don't know how to escape, right? That's a hell. You are a conscious being. You know that you exist, but you are suffering. You don't know how you started existing, but you just find yourself suffering. And you spend your life trying to escape your suffering. Notice that the things that you do these things because you're trying to escape suffering, right? Every day when you wake up and do something, you're trying to escape suffering. Suffering comes in different forms. It can come in the form of boredom. Sometimes you can be so damn bored that you're like, damn, what can I do? And you decide to do something because, well, you're so damn bored, you're miserable. That is suffering, right? Suffering can come in the form of um, a sickness. You can, get sick. Some people have like terminal illnesses, they're suffering, Suffering can come in the form of depression. Some people are just depressed, no matter what happens in their lives, they're just not happy, they're just depressed. That is suffering. Let me ask you a question. Are you not suffering now? Do you feel like now you're not suffering? You are happy. What I've realized about most people is that they are so used to suffering that they no longer think it's a big deal. That is why some people, when they come into our lives, they don't want to stay for that long. Like a person who's doing better than you, who has a better life than you, when they become part of your life, they don't really want to stay for that long. Why? Because you're suffering and they're realizing that you're suffering, but you're so used to your suffering, you're so used to your own hell that you're like, this is life, but because they're not used to your hell, they're like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like I don't want to like stay with this person. I don't want to be around this person because life is showing them flames. But that's the thing, though. We have suffered a lot as a society that we think that that is normal. We're so used to this hell that we think that the things that are happening are normal. You see the problem? That is why there are people who are trying to justify the things that are going on. And people will say, no, 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 no. We are suffering because we are learning. We are learning. That is why we are suffering. Does it really seem like people are learning anything here? Does it really seem like animals are learning anything here? What do you think rabbits are learning? What do you think cockroaches are learning? Cockroaches go through through a lot. We're indifferent to their suffering. We don't like them. You see a cockroach, you analyze it right away. But really, everyone can see that there's no point to this. You know, people are just suffering straight up. People are just suffering. You are in a place that you don't understand. You don't know how you got here, but you are suffering for real. You've just been suffering so much that you became comfortable. But any place that you can find yourself in where you are suffering and you don't really know how to escape suffering, you find yourself suffering and you don't know what to do, you don't know how to escape suffering. That's a hell. You shouldn't look at that place as anything else. It's a hell, because you can't just be like, okay, you know what? I want to um, uh, turn down my suffering. Like, okay, I've suffered now. Let me turn it all down. Like, no, you don't have that option. You just suffer. You can cry, you can scream, you can complain, you can work hard, but sometimes things don't really change. And even if you do manage to make things better in your life, doesn't really mean that you have escaped suffering. Suffering come in different forms. That's the thing. Suffering comes in different forms. You might be suffering now because you don't have a job, you don't have money, and you're like, okay, if I had a job and I had some money, I wouldn't be suffering, I'll be okay. And then you get a job and make some money, but then suffer because, well, you have to wake up in the morning. You were used to like sleeping until 9, until 10. Now you have to wake up early in the morning every day. um, you don't live very close to where you work, so you have maybe to use like two, three transport to get to work. By the time you get to work, you're tired. You don't really like your boss doesn't really like you, your coworkers do not really like you. Some people are saying you're not doing your work right. Some people are complaining about you. You might feel like you might get fired. Like that's not good. That's hell. Is it? So when you escape a problem, it doesn't automatically mean that you're not going to have another problem. Like you're going to find yourself facing another problem. That's part of this trap. So there's no escaping suffering. Right? You just suffering. The same way that you would be suffering if you were in the Christian vision of hell. The only difference is that you are used to your suffering. If you were born in a prison, what's the worst prison in the world? Let's just say you were just like born in a maximum security prison, right? You grow up there. Yeah. You grow up inside. It'll get to a point where you feel the way that you feel now. It'll get to a point where you're so used to your own suffering, to how you're being treated, that you actually think that that's how it is. Like that's how things are. I actually do think that if we found ourselves in the Christian vision of hell, we'll actually evolve to a point where we're just used to our suffering, that we're like, hey, this is it. This is life. Because we do go through a lot as people, bro. Imagine, you know, the people who are really, really sick right now. You're not, if you are healthy, you're not sick, but you're suffering. So imagine a person who's in a situation that's worse than yours, but they kind of like used to their situation. Like they've been sick their whole life, but they can't, like they're used to that. They're used to that because we we get used to our own suffering at some point, right? We get used to our own suffering at some point, and that's the thing. That's why people do not realize that they're in a hell realm. Is it? God's will. What's up? What's up? God's will. Yeah, I hate it when people say that this is God's will. This is God's will. Like they justify life by saying it's God's will. Like what about your will? What about what you want? Remember, you're a conscious being. You also want some things to work out for you. You don't want things to just be horrible for you 24/7. So when someone says, "Oh, it's God's will," like I kind of feel like that's more like an insult, really. Hell realm is really hell, 100%, man. Okay, go back to the dark ages and you'll see what hell was. Like I was saying to y'all that people get used to their suffering. So in the dark ages, they were going through things that we feel are worse than the things that we're going through. but they were used to what they were going through, that they actually continue to procreate, they continue to fight. To them, everything that was happening made sense. They were telling themselves positive stories to justify their own suffering, just like we are justifying our own suffering. But the truth is, suffering comes in different forms. So they might have suffered because they couldn't protect themselves against animals, they couldn't protect themselves against their enemies, they weren't safe. You knew that anything can happen to you. But now we're suffering in a different way. People are lonely. How hard it is to just be lonely. You have no one likes you, no one thinks about you, no one cares about you, no one is checking up on you. You don't have anyone that you can check up on. You're just lonely. That is suffering. And I think that is worse than being in a place where things seem like are difficult. Like you have to work every day to survive. You have to you don't really feel safe. But if you have love, your experience will be better. If you have people who care about you, your experience will be better. Like being lonely is like being put in solitary confinement, bro. It's like you're blocked out. Like you I've given you this example from the series Black Mirror. There's this episode where this guy committed a crime. He unalived this other girl, and he was like blocked out. Like he couldn't talk to anyone. Like they had this technology that people can just use to like block you. Like if you hate a person, you just block them, so they can't talk to you, they can't communicate with you, they can't touch you. The punish his punishment was that he's blocked from everyone else. Being lonely feels that way. It's like no one wants to be close to you, right? So people are not open to you as like the way that you want them to be open. So it's kind of like you are being blocked. So this is like the worst kind of punishment. That's why I'm saying that being lonely is like being in solitary confinement. That's like being in jail. So we might say, hey, in the dark ages, people went through this, people went through. No, no, no. People are going through hell now. It sucks being alone. It sucks to have no one to talk to, especially in a world where you can just talk to someone at any time, but then no one wants to talk to you. No one is there for you, right? That sucks. That's um that's a form of suffering. Some people have been dealing with that for a very long time. Their lives have been that way. So they were in their own hell. They were in their own personal hell. And other people didn't understand what they were going through, right? So you find that a person is in their own personal hell, but well, other people don't really care. Other people are just living their lives. And when that person, talks about how they are feeling, what they are going through, no one really cares. No one really, tries to help. That's hell. That's not good. No one wants to go through that. We might say, hey, young people now, they're spoiled because they're complaining. Some are unaliving themselves. Look at what your ancestors went through. Like, no, they were dealing with their own hell. We're dealing with our own hell. Things haven't really changed. You know, they just took another form. Like humanity is still struggling. Just like I was telling you about slavery, the slavery didn't change. It just took another form. We have more slaves than ever now. So just because people um, are not suffering in ways that we can see doesn't mean that they are not suffering. People have been they've been feeling empty for a very long time. They've been feeling alone for a very long time. They've been feeling suicidal for a very long time. They've been feeling depressed for a very long time. There are people that you meet when you go out who are truly depressed, but you don't see that they're depressed because, well, we're supposed to put on fake smiles, right? You're supposed to smile when you meet new people. You're not supposed to be open and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, because, well, that's not allowed. Uh, that's not allowed in our society. No, Dean Cam Sami. Hi, Benedict. Marcus. It's very obvious. The good things I want always have evil attached to it. If I try you overly good life success. It's like everything is actually a trap, right? You don't just have what you desire like that. It's like whenever you try to get something, it's like there's a price that you must pay for it. The fact that we have to work for our happiness tells us something. It's not like happiness is our default state. So people believe that happiness is our default state, but no, it's not. You actually have to do a lot of work to actually be happy. That is why people wake up in the morning and do a lot of things, because you gotta do something. You can't just chill and be like this and be happy. It just doesn't work. So to escape suffering, to escape sadness, because sadness is a form of suffering, right? That's hell. So to escape that for a while, you've got to do something. But the things that we are required to do in this realm are very hard to do, right? Like having to work, like that's hard. So it's kind of like you have to choose your suffering, because, well, the whole, like, you're in a hell realm, so you suffer. Like no matter what you do, you actually suffer. So there's no escaping suffering. So you just have to choose your suffering. Are you going to be lonely? Are you going to be alone and suffer because of that? Are you going to go out and work and face the world and suffer because of that? But you suffer regardless. Existence is weird, my friend. Yeah, the fact that we exist in a world that no one really explained to us what it really is. No one really explained to us what is going on. All we know is that we're suffering, and things are becoming weirder and weirder. That's crazy. Sometimes it feels like a joke, right? Like sometimes existence itself feels like a joke. When I just remember that I exist and I'm having an experience, and I suffer, and I'm trying to escape my suffering, and that's it. That's life. Like sometimes I'm like, it feels unreal, right? It feels unreal that this is life. This is existence. Like you are doing it right now. You are existing. You are having an experience, but it sucks, and you don't know what to do, right? Like it sucks no matter what you do. Not having kids or deleting self is what whoever controlling this fear. Yeah, man, I think the biggest fu to the universe is just a person deciding not to make a copy of themselves. Like that's the biggest fu to the universe. That's you showing the universe that nah, I don't like this. Like I'm waking up, I can see that something is off. you know it was a perfect kind of hell, because At first it didn't really seem like hell. At first it really seemed like a place where a person can thrive by doing good things, by being a good person, by being kind to others. Like the whole thing is just about you becoming a better vision of yourself, and that's how you evolve. But then you realize that no, things ain't the way that I thought they were, and there's a reason why you felt like things were that way. It's because you know that that's how things should be, so you just expected things to be that way. But as you grew older, you realize that no, it's like this realm is upside down for real. you know when I do good things, I don't get good results. When I do bad things, I get good results. What's really going on here? Does it mean that I must be selfish? Does it mean that I must cause suffering? So it's like this entity that has put us here just want us to cause suffering so that it will be happy, because that's the point. That is why the bad guys are winning. I've always given you this example that in many cultures in the world, it is believed that the gods wanted sacrifices, right? If you sacrifice someone, torture them, torture them, torture them, and then sacrifice them to the gods will be happy. Why do what mean people in different cultures believe that? It's not like these gods just wanted people to be unalived and that's it. Like no, they wanted people to be tortured for real. Like this that still happens in the world. Like people get tortured and be unalive for rituals, and it happens more often than you think. Like they believe that they are sacrificing these people to the gods. So that tells us that these gods that people are worshiping, these gods that are working behind the scenes, want people to suffer. Movies, sex, food, drugs. Oh, all right. No, no. I saying that. Oh, yeah. Movies, sex, food, all escape. Yeah. The problem is that you escape temporarily, and movies are no longer what they used to be. Like I watched Beverly Hills Cop 3. I think it's 3, if not 4. Last night I didn't even finish it. I was like, dang, who watched this shit? Remember last week I watched Bad Boy 4. I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, who's making these movies? Are they making these movies for children? What's going on? Like, movies ain't what they used to be. Right? Like, the Matrix is kind of like falling apart. Like, it's failing to keep us entertained. Because movies ain't what they used to be. Like, I can't even watch a movie right now. I can't, because movies suck. There was a time where I used to enjoy movies, but I think people are becoming so conscious that they are vibrating so high that the Matrix is failing to entertain them. You see, so they're making Fast and Furious movies, and you watch them, and you're like, "What the hell?" Tyler Perry be making movies, you watch them, and you be like, "What? I can, I can make a better movie than that." And I don't even know how to make movies, but come on, like if I had, if I was given, if I had the money that he had, I would be able to make a better movie than that. So what's going on here? It's almost as if there's this force that is creating all these movies. It's like there's this AI that works in Hollywood that's like creating the same movies, but humanity has evolved, so these movies no longer entertain us. I'm serious. Like these movies that they're making now, like I can't remember the last time I watched a good movie. The only movie that I've watched this year that I liked is The Book of Clarence. That's it. Sex. The problem with sex is that it's like a trap, because you might end up having kids, but also it doesn't really last, right? So I wouldn't say that that's like a form of escape. Like I wouldn't really call it that. Food, not really, but maybe temporarily. Yes, maybe temporarily. If you eat the food that you want, for like 20 minutes, that for that time, but your stomach will be full and you're not even gonna be feeling good afterwards. Even after sex, you don't. Do you really feel good after sex? Like as a man, do you feel good after sex, or you feel drained? You feel weaker. So it's like it's a trap, right? So of course you're gonna feel pleasure, but then you're gonna feel weaker. Because that's the thing. So I don't know if really there are things that we can do to kind of like escape this. It's you know we hear a lot of people cope. A lot of people hope that life is about suffering and transcending it. Okay. Mm, of course, we will try to transcend suffering. Because what can we do? Remember, we don't want to suffer. So if we find ways to transcend suffering, we might even tell ourselves that that's the purpose of life, to transcend, finding ways to transcend suffering, right? We end up justifying suffering by saying that we are here to learn to transcend suffering, while that isn't the case. Well, the truth is that, well, you're here to suffer, but because you are conscious and you do not want to suffer, you found ways to transcend suffering. But that wouldn't really mean that that's the purpose of life. It will mean that you've made that your purpose because you don't want to suffer. I mean, if you were in prison, you would think, well, the purpose of us being here is to find ways to escape. Like, no, you were put there because, well, they want you to be there. Maybe you did something wrong, but they want you to be there. So you are trying to like find ways to escape, and you are giving your life meaning by trying to escape. You see? So we're giving our lives meaning by trying to escape our suffering, but really suffering is like our default state. That should tell you something. We transcend suffering by doing the opposite of what we have been programmed to do as people. That's how we transcend suffering. You become numb to suffering. True, true. When once you suffer long enough, you actually become numb. I've normalized suffering my whole life. It feels like when you're not suffering, you even feel like something is wrong. Ever felt that way? Like you've suffered so much that when things are going well, you're like, huh? I'm not used to this. Like I don't feel comfortable because I'm not used to this. I'm not used to comfort. I'm not used to not having problems. Because you've always had problems. You've always been suffering. So it scares you. There's a part of you that feels like, damn, what if this is a setup? What if something much worse is about to happen and life is just giving me a little break? Because I've suffered a lot and life decides, okay, you're going to get a break now. And then you're not suffering, you're not suffering, you're not suffering. And you're like it feels that way. Like when you're doing good, it's a setup. You have to worry about the bills. Can't have peace in this joint. Even if you're rich, you have to worry about being used for money. Yeah, plus you get used to your riches. You get so used to your riches that you just feel like everyone else. You might have more distractions than other people, but you just feel like everyone else. You'd have these dope cars that people want, but to you they're just cars because you're used to them. You might not even drive them most of the time. You might not even live in your mansion. You might not even appreciate the mansion because you're just so used to it. You might not even appreciate the women. You're so used to them. You might not appreciate your swimming pool. You might not appreciate your clothes. You are so used to that. You might not even appreciate the attention that you're getting. Think about it. The way that we're living now is the way that kings used to live, right, back then. But we're so used to this. We're so used to this that it's nothing to us. It's just we bought. So yeah, even being rich is in the is in the answer. Yeah. The truth is that you suffer even if you try to transcend suffering. You still suffer. Even if you try to numb down the pain, you still suffer. Even if you try to not care, you still suffer. But caring less does help, but you still suffer. You know, because it's a hell realm. People are very creative. Like they've suffered so much now that they're actually creative. They found ways to kind of like escape that suffering. Or people coming up with strategies. On YouTube, people will be giving you different strategies to escape suffering. Like, hey, do this, think these thoughts. Don't pay attention to this. Don't do this. Don't. Yeah, damn. That really means that this sucks. Because if this was in a hell realm, we wouldn't be getting those kind of advice. Like, you just be having fun, bro. You just be enjoying your existence. You wouldn't even really like. You wouldn't even be asking yourself what this is and what this is all about. You wouldn't even care. You just be like, hey, man, I'm thinking about having fun. One smile and smile again and yet be a villain. Shakespeare. Well, one may smile and smile again and yet be a villain. We're forced to put on fake smiles. We're forced to act. We live in a system of suffering, which is hell. Yeah, that proves that this is hell. Like, what more proof do people want? Like, that, it really does make me laugh when people pretend as if this is not hell. Like, what do you want to see? It's obvious. It's obvious. Yes, it is a hell realm, but some people are doing well here and enjoying it. Um, I'm starting to think people show us what they want to show us. Like, people show us what they want to show us. Some people, their job is to be happy, right? Is to appear as if they are happy. Like, that's it. That's their job. They're getting paid for doing well in life. So you're like, oh yeah, that means these people are really enjoying their lives. I don't know. Like, the problem is that when you don't have some things that other people have, you might think that these things are making them happy, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, the celebrities that I know are honest, because there's some celebrities when you're listening to them, you can sense that these people are honest. They do talk about being unhappy, right? Those that that okay, this the person is honest. They will talk about not being happy, right? It's the celebrities that will like lying to people, that will always be like, hey, I'm happy, I have this, I have that, and it seems like they're really enjoying their lives. Yes, there are people who suffering less than most of us. That is true, and there are people who are suffering more than everyone here. That is true, but the truth is that everyone is suffering. Like, that is the truth, and everyone is trying to escape suffering. Have you ever had a supernatural experience? Yeah, I I have supernatural experiences every day when I'm about to fall asleep, and when I wake up, I hear voices. Like, for real, like, I hear voices. Um, I don't know what that means. Like, when I'm about to fall asleep, I hear voices, and they wake me up. Sometimes I'm woken up by these voices. It's crazy. I think that's supernatural. And sometimes I do have like a deja vu moments. Um, and sometimes when I try to meditate, my body vibrates, vibrates for real, like, really, really vibrates. Now, I've had many experiences that I feel like were supernatural. Uh, your Benedictine, what are your thoughts on manifestation? Um, You see, there's a little bit of truth. Like in everything that you hear, there's a little bit of truth, right? The problem is that some people will take it too far and try to like uh, make money by making it seem like they really have mastered the art of manifestation, right? Um, if you want to see that these people who are talking about manifestation all the time are just as scamming people, I'm not saying you can't manifest. I've actually spoken about manifestation before, but these people will even pay YouTube to advertise their videos, right? These people will make you pay money so that they'll teach you how to manifest. Like, dang, really? It's the same with Christianity. It's like if someone really believes in God and they, in prayer, but they want your money, you're doing worse than them, but they want your money. Like, give me your money. I have all the answers. You know, you can get rich. God can give you whatever you want, but you have to give me your money. Like, it's the sum of. But yes, consciousness is fundamental. So yes, consciousness really does create everything. It's a dream. Look at it that way. Life is a dream. It's heaven and hell. Oh well. um, it becomes what we call heaven when we have escaped uh, our worst nightmares, right? So we're like, oh, it's heaven. Like a person who suffered their whole lives and find themselves in a good place might say, this is heaven. I like to give you um, this example. Francis Ngannou grew up in Cameroon. He was poor, very, very poor. Then uh, left this country, became a boxer, and then became an MMA fighter and became very successful. Fought Tyson Fury, became rich. But recently, I can see that he's been posting that he's not like really like he's not that good, like he's not feeling that well. Like there was a time when he was like happy, right? It's the same happy. It will feel like he was in heaven. But now you can see that he's not happy. He lost his son, and he's not been okay ever since. I remember there's this interview that I've watched where he was talking about you know how him losing his son made him feel the way that he used to always feel because he was fighting for his son. I mean, I know these celebrities will always say what they need to say to gain more fans, but you could see that he's not feeling the way that he hoped that he would feel after getting the things that he wanted. So I wouldn't say it's both heaven and hell. I would say it becomes what we call heaven after we've done a lot of work to escape our nightmares. But it doesn't really mean that it's both heaven and hell. It's hell. But if you do what you need to do, you can actually find yourself in a better place. So you might start saying, "Oh, it's heaven and hell." No, it's hell. It's hell. It's not heaven and hell. What do you think about the butterfly effect? A chaotic dynamic behavior that causes us to have no free will. Yeah, you're watching this video right now. You could have been doing something else, right? That would have caused a ripple effect. That would have made things that are not going to happen anymore happen. That's a butterfly effect. I'm making this video because of the things that have happened today. It's not like I planned that I was gonna be live. It's just that I found myself busy. that it actually led to me, deciding to just make this life. So it's not really free will, right? It's cause and effect. Your thoughts right now, you're not really controlling them. Maybe the things that I'm saying are making you remember some things. Maybe what I'm saying is making you remember to text someone right now. Maybe there's a person that you forgot to text back. So you might actually text them back right now because I'm reminding you. So it's not really free will, it's cause and effect, right? We're victims of causality. So you can't really say you have free will. There's this movie that I've watched. I think it's called The Butterfly Effect, actually. This guy would faint, and he wouldn't know why he would faint. He would faint and then wake up, faint, then wake up. As he's growing older, he would faint, wake up, faint, wake up. And in the future, I actually realized that he was able to go back to the time, to the moment when he fainted. Like there was like portals. Like him fainting was like creating some portals for him to go back into the past. And he would do things differently, and then they will make things happen differently. You'll be like, okay, I made this girl my girlfriend, I'm not going to make her my girlfriend. Then his life turned out differently. Oh, okay, I say this to this person, I'm not going to say this to this person again. Things happen differently. It's like this movie. What's the name of the movie? Next, starring Nicolas Cage. He was able to go back maybe 1 minute. Like he was able, like if he does something and it doesn't work out, he was able to rewind time and then do it again. So he'll approach a girl, try to talk to her, and if she seems like she doesn't like him, he'll be like, okay, I'm gonna rewind time and then start all over again, figure out what to say next. So like that, like if there was a person who had those kind of powers that will allow them to like rewind time, they will actually prove to everyone that we don't have free will. We just react to what people be saying. We're just victims of causality. We just react to how things are happening. Is it? Like you can make a person angry and they do something bad that might even put them in prison. And if you had the power to rewind time, you approach them again and then you say something different and they don't get angry and then they don't end up in prison. Gifty Sene, first time catching a live. Yeah, it's just that I don't usually go live. I think that's why. That's why. Sometimes you talk like life is predestined, bro. You think that life is not predestined. You think we have the power to change the future as a collective. I think there are people who know what is going on. They've been planning the things that are happening in the world. So there are things that have been planned that are going to happen, but most of the things that are happening are a result of, you know, cause and effect. What do you think the real God is like, and not the one described in the Bible? Is there such thing as a God? Um, I think consciousness is fundamental, right? Like what really exists is consciousness, and it doesn't have a form, and it isn't something that can be measured. It isn't something that can be seen. It isn't something that can be touched. Everything that we're seeing, everything that we're experiencing is happening within consciousness. Consciousness is able to dream up reality. So if you want to call something a god, you'd you'd say consciousness is God. Like that's it. Like there isn't this entity that created everything, that knew what it was really doing. No, the whole thing is a dream, right? The whole thing is a dream of consciousness. I think the best way to look at it is that you are consciousness experiencing itself from different perspectives. Like consciousness is experiencing itself from the perspective of from perspective of a cat, right? Your cat, if you have a cat, um, from my perspective, from your perspective. Yeah, look at it that way. If you wanna um, if you wanna believe that other people have their own consciousness, so look at it that way. Yes, loneliness is the worst. As long as you have love and village, there is hope. I think people who have been lonely have always been lonely. Like they've been surrounded by people their whole lives, but they've always been lonely. Like that doesn't really change. Like what causes people to be lonely um, is the fact that no one wants to do something for another person. I remember someone commented on one of my videos and said, remember that no one does something for another person. What when we do things for ourselves, right? So if I decide that I want to be with someone, it means that there's something that I know I'm going to gain. I'm not just going to be like, I want to be with this person, even if there's nothing to gain. It's how people are. People are selfish. So if someone is lonely, it might be because a lot of people don't see how they can benefit um, by being with that person. So that person ends up being lonely. It's a sad reality of life, but that's how messed up the whole thing is, because people are selfish. So you might find that a person who has been lonely since high school, they they are lonely, they're in their 40s and they're still lonely. Yeah, loneliness breaks a social creature like a human. There is no reason to even fight. Loneliness is the worst. Like that's it's like a pandemic. Like that's what consciousness is going through now. Harvard had an 80-year long study that basically proved that relationships and connections and what people value most. So isolation and loneliness is probably a form of hell for social animals. No, 100%. Uh, what do people want? Like what do you want? Like what do you truly desire now? Like ask yourself that question. Do you not desire human connection? Do you wanna I mean, yes, now it's best to be alone for most people because relationships are not really working. So you are much safer when you are alone. But human beings really desire to be with other humans. So if relationships were working, if friendships were working, human beings will feel better, right? Life is relationships. You are interacting with people every day. That's relationships, right? So if your connection with the people that you're interacting with is not good, you're not gonna feel good. So relationships are important to humans because we social animals. That's the thing. If everything happens for a reason, then you die for a reason. So did God die for a reason? Uh, if things are happening for a reason, I wouldn't say they're happening for a good reason. Hope we fix this hellhole. I don't know if this is a realm that can be fixed. I think we just need to realize as a collective that something is just wrong, and make sure that we don't bring more people here. That's it. That's the solution. I don't think we should, be stuck with this idea that we need to fix this realm. It's exactly what it was supposed to be, is it? That would be like trying to fix prison. Like, prison is a place where, people who have committed a crime are supposed to do their time, and they're supposed to not enjoy themselves like they would if they were outside. So look at it that way. It's not a place that we can fix. If we try to fix this place, we'll be trying to do something uh, wrong. Um, I mean, not like we'll be doing something right for ourselves, but then something that this matrix doesn't want. So it will probably try to find ways to screw things over. Yeah, that's why when things are going well, something happens out of nowhere. It seems like that's how it is. Like when things are going well, when people have found a way to do things together, to live together, something bad must happen, and then they must find themselves fighting. I get your point and agree with you, but you are repeating yourself a lot, and it's getting a bit boring. I think some people like to complain about things that they shouldn't complain about. That, like, people who want to find problems everywhere, right? Like you, and I think that can actually make you suffer more. The truth is this: let's say you feel like there is something that is making you feel miserable, or something that bores you. You try to focus on what doesn't bore you, right? You mustn't try to kind of like uh, change something that other people might actually like it the way that it is for your liking. Like, okay, I want this to be this. I want this person to be like this, like to be 100% like this. If they change, I'm gonna have a problem, and then they change, and then you have a problem. Or I want this person to change, and then you end up complaining. You're like, okay, I hate that you are like this. You must change. But then you find that there are a lot of people who like that person the way that they are. Like you're making yourself suffer by complaining about things that you shouldn't be complaining about. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really make sense. Deep Slayer, what even led you to become so awake, bro? It's suffering. Suffering wakes you up. Suffering forces you to think. Suffering makes you ask questions. Um, if I didn't suffer, I don't know if I would have asked myself the questions that I've asked myself that actually led to me, uh, seeing, the truth that a lot of people don't really see. I'm not the way that I was 10 years ago. I understand things better now, and that's because of suffering. So yeah, suffering does wake us up. I'm not saying suffering is good, but when you suffer, you are forced to think, you are forced to ask questions. So that will lead to you becoming conscious, because you will need answers. Rather loneliness than NPC, for real. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was saying, that some people just choose to be alone because, you know, when they go out into the world, they realize that most people, suck. So they're like, I would rather be alone. But the truth is that we're social creatures, and if relationships were working and we were connecting in a way that is real, and we were helping one another, building a better society, people will feel much better. But we're not, and people are realizing that, so they would rather be alone. If we had good leadership, will things be better? Um, no, and the reason why I say no is because we don't select good leaders, right? We do not select good leaders. We will not listen to good leaders. So even if these people were making the right decisions for us, we would not listen to them. Like that's how it works in this society. It's crazy. But the people who tell us the truth, the people who are really right, these are the people that we don't listen to. We listen to the people who are manipulating us. It's like whatever put us here has programmed us to be attracted to those who do not care about us, to find ourselves loving those who do not care about us. The ones who care about us, the ones who have the solutions, we must not love them. We must not even pay attention to them. And if they somehow find themselves on top, we must make sure that we bring them down so that we'll put those people who are manipulating us on top. So I don't think that if we had the right leaders, things will be better. Bro, you're awesome. I love your videos. Thanks, Luca Illuminated. Voyager, nice to see you here. I've seen you many times on my lives before. Is your name really Benedict? Yes, yeah, that's that's my real name actually. It's Benedictine. What's ironic is that I think like it's uh there's a church like Church of Saint Benedictine. It's it's, uh, it's a bit ironic. You are the technology. You need to operate. You can change the pH of your blood and your hormones level by thought alone. Mm, some things we like to hear some things, right? Like they make them feel they make us feel better. Like hearing some people telling us that, you know, by just thinking this and that, you can be like this and that. You can heal yourself by just thinking. There was this person who had cancer, and I taught them how to think, and they were able to heal themselves. Like we like to hear that as people, and that's how people get scammed. Um, but yeah, we need to teach ourselves to think right. That is important. To not be victims of our thoughts, but we shouldn't exaggerate. Like people like exaggerate. Present moment is the only reality there is. You can access that by turning off your senses and going within. That is true. If there is a hell realm, then would there not be an opposite, a heaven? Oh, that's a good question. Um, the way that I look at this realm, I look at it as like a I'll say we're in a fallen state, right? Like consciousness has forgotten everything about itself. Like it's so deep in its dream, in its own mess that it is suffering. It forgot everything. Like it doesn't know how to escape. It doesn't know um, how to make things better for itself. So it's just suffering. It's just suffering. It's just suffering. So heaven will be us remembering what we really are, knowing the truth, regaining our power. What are your thoughts on nihilism? You should do a video on it in conjunction with antinatalism. I don't really associate antinatalism with nihilism, even though an internatalist can use nihilism to justify like antinatalism, right? But I think antinatalism is straightforward. It's not about whether the experience itself makes sense, whether the experience itself is meaningful, you know, it's about whether it is right to make someone experience something, no matter how we feel about it. Like, for an example, if you didn't know what alcohol does to people and I gave you alcohol, will that be right to get you drunk? Or this was ayahuasca, right? And I've had like good trips, like I've had like psychedelic experiences that were good. And I gave you ayahuasca without your consent, and you have this the experience that you have. I don't know what kind of experience you would have. Will that be right if I didn't get consent from you? Like, that's the question too. Is it right to give someone an experience without their consent, especially an experience where they would have to do a lot of things, where they'll have to be responsible in so many different ways, where they'll have to try their best to avoid suffering? I enjoyed your video about having criminal record and being denied a good job. My abusive ex abused me our whole relationship, then called the cops on me. Now I'm the one with the record. Sad system. Yeah, man, it really sucks that one mistake can make it hard for you to get a job. Like, you can get arrested and do your time, but then they still say you've been to jail, so you can't get a job. You're like, why did they put me in jail if, or why did they even let me out if I'm still, I'm still not going to get employed because I did something wrong at some point. I mean, human beings make mistakes. We evolve. As not like I like the idea of people like giving people criminal record never really made sense to me. I think when a person does something that is wrong, you don't like you can record that in the system that this person has done this, but if they do their time, I don't really think it makes sense to say they must have a criminal record like forever, because people make mistakes. That's the truth. People make mistakes and they evolve. I mean, think about it. If making a mistake meant that you never change, you always make that mistake, you shouldn't be allowed in public, period. If I got involved in a fight and then I got a criminal record, I shouldn't even be allowed in public, because that would mean that I'll fight with other people. So it doesn't really make sense to say, no, you don't deserve to have this job because you got involved in a fight uh 8 years ago. Like, it was just one fight. Like, it just shows you that the people who are in control are controlling us in so many different ways, because the people who are on top, they themselves have lots of criminal records, but they are allowed to be on top. Just like I gave you this example of our politicians, these people are running our country, but they have criminal records, like real criminal records. I'm not talking about you fighting with someone, in a club, and they get you arrested, or you driving drunk, or like, no, I'm talking about like a real criminal record. Like, they've been involved in real corruption. They've stolen millions. but they are running our countries. But they say, hey, you can't be a teacher because you have this criminal record. Oh, you can't be a cop because you have this criminal. Like what? A God who wants a sacrifice like that isn't really a God. I'd look it up. Yeah, these people, these religious people are worshiping demonic entities, bruh. Like it should be obvious by now. Like they're worshiping demonic entities. Even if these entities don't exist, but I think they are creating this energy. Like millions of people are praying to this evil entity that doesn't exist. I do think they're creating this energy somehow. I mean, why do they even worship these entities that are evil? Like that says a lot about them, actually. I usually tell people that you worship the God that you see yourself in. So um you don't see that your God is evil because you see yourself in that God. I don't even remember the last time I watched a movie. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one who feels like this. Maybe we're just getting old. Yeah, maybe we're just getting old, or the simulation is just falling apart. Like people are starting to see through everything. You know, people don't want to get married anymore. Ask yourself why. I think the simulation is just falling apart. Like they're sensing that something is wrong. So they're like, hey, maybe marriage is not a good idea. You know, many people are deciding that they don't want to have children. That's why the world leaders are scared now. Like, hey, a lot of people are not having children. And then you find people like Elon and Jordan Peterson, you know, shaming people for not wanting to have children. That tells you something. People, even if like a person is not an internationalist, but they can sense that something is off and they don't want to have children. So it's this matrix falling apart. um People don't want to like have shitty jobs anymore. Like there was a time when having a job was great, but now a lot of people are like, hey man, I don't want to work a shitty job. I don't want to have work a 9 to 5. Is the matrix falling apart? Like we're seeing through everything. People can see schools for what they are. Like we can see things for what they are. So that's a sign that the matrix is actually falling apart. Congrats on 8K subscribers. I hope your channel continues to grow. Maybe the world can be a little better, better bit of a place if we all understood your message. Thanks, Super Saiyan God. Thanks. Certain disguised hell is a beautiful place. Yeah, so that would never try to do what needs to be done to escape. Like if we believe that this is a good place, and the reason why things are the way that they are is because there are a lot of things that we're doing wrong. Of course, we wouldn't feel like escaping, right? We wouldn't feel like doing what needs to be done to escape because, well, it's a beautiful place. Movies have been garbage since 2010. Yeah, I think there ain't that many movies that have been released between 2010 and now that are really that good. I mean, yeah, Inception, yes, but they just ain't that good. That many good movies. Sex is short. joy like almost everything in life, though I still appreciate it even though it might be a short joy. Yeah, true. The only problem is that you lose a lot of energy. So yeah, that's why I was saying that it's also a trap, right? In some way, like everything that we do for fun seems to be a trap. So you'd feel like you have this energy, and then you have sex, and then you don't really feel the same. Unfortunately, I still didn't get a chance to do so due to the cult called religion I'm born into. What do you mean, Voyager? 127. This world feels so repetitive, always the same patterns. Yeah, that's the thing. Like every day is really the same. Like even if you try to do things differently, it's like every day is the same. How can that not be boring when nothing really changes? Like there's nothing really new. I think that's one of the reasons why people focus on stupid trends. It's because they're bored. So they always want to focus on, like they want to find something to focus on. Like that transgender fight and that everyone was talking about. Like we always want to find something to focus on because we are bored, right? Things that we shouldn't really be focusing on, but we're going to focus on these things, and we'll make them seem very important. Like it's a big deal. Like for an example, there's this lady that was born in South Africa. uh, I think her father's from Nigeria, her mother is from Zimbabwe, but she was born here in South Africa. She won Miss South Africa this year, and everyone is complaining. Like on TikTok, everyone is talking about her. Like, oh, it is wrong because just because she was born here doesn't mean she was a South African. So you see that people are just bored, right? They're bored, so they just follow stupid trends because every day is the same. So they don't know what to do. So they're always looking for something. Like, okay, this is something to stress about. There is something to give my energy to because I'm bored. I was looking for something. So this is interesting. This is something to talk about. That is why stupid things trend. It's because people are bored. They're looking for entertainment. Because this is boring, because every day is the same. If people weren't bored, they wouldn't be following stupid trends. A lot of things that people are talking about that, as if they're important, people won't even be talking about these things. But people are bored. How's the temperature over there in Africa? For me, it's degrees. Where I live, it's usually hot, but today it wasn't really hot. This realm is a punishment. It sure does feel like a punishment. What was Bad Boys 4 or post coitus weakness? I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know. I haven't watched the other movie. Thanks for the super thanks, rich guy, rich. Um, do you believe that self deletion is the option to escape? Okay, that's a very very good question. That's a very very good question. Yeah, I would prefer to live in a world where everyone was allowed to choose when they want to go out. Like that would be beautiful. But I think it is important to learn as much as you can. I think it's important to learn as much as, not because you are here to learn, but because we don't know what's out there, like what comes after this. So I think we need to become as conscious as possible while we are here to prepare ourselves for what's next. Between 2018 and now, I've learned a lot. There are things that I didn't know in 2018 that I know now. And I feel like if I were to go out now, I would be more ready than I was. So I always advise people to try to learn as much as they can about this realm, about what's sourcing this reality, what is really, really going on, so that they're not going to be manipulated. Because it's gonna happen eventually. But also it really does depends, it really does depend, because no one can really tell you. That's why, like, when it comes to these kind of issues, I don't feel like um there's a person who qualifies to tell someone what is best for them, like when it comes to, because no one really knows. You get what I'm saying? Like no one really knows. So I can't say I qualify, but my advice is that learn as much as you can. Do you believe black folk are the real ancient Israelites? Um, I don't think it matters, honestly. I don't think it matters, because what does it change? Do I believe that the real Israelites? I think there might have been black people and other races, like, but it doesn't. I can't say it matter. Like I laugh when I see black people saying that, or black people saying Jesus was black or this and that. Who cares? I don't think it matters. I think this is just skin color. Like there isn't much to it. It's just the skin color. It doesn't really mean much. There are people who are white that I connect with more than I connect with black people. That a bit like skin color is just skin color. I don't even know how to explain it, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's just humans who it's just our primitive it's just the primitive parts of our brains that are making us think that skin color is important. It's not important at all. Like at all. It doesn't matter. Okay, Sarah Mike say the moment I was born they won. But what if there was a way to make them lose because you are here? What if there was a way? Because I also think that I'm like, okay, what if there was something that a person could do that will make this worth it? Like something crazy that could like really, really change something. Because yes, this is a horrible experience. This 100% true. But what if there was something that a person can do that can um shake this matrix? Like every day when I wake up, I actually do think, what does a person in my position do if they really wanted to shake this matrix? Being rich may not be the answer, but it's definitely 100% better than being poor. Yeah, that's 100% true. It's better than being poor. But I think at some point you do feel like you've always felt. I do think at some point, because here's the thing: if you don't have much in life, you still have that thing of, okay, if I get this, I'm gonna feel better. If I get that, I'm gonna feel better, right? But if you have everything, you're like, where do I go from here? Because I'm still not happy. So where do I go from here? So I think it's because we are not rich that we are so sure that that is that's great. But I don't like, it is good to have power. Like if I was rich, of course I would change the world. I'll change the matrix. Like I would have enough power to change the matrix. But I'm not sure if I would be feeling better. That's the thing. Like I'm not sure if I would be feeling better. I'll be back in a second. When is your debate coming out? Coming up. It's the problem is that I'm not going to be debating in English, and I don't know if I'll be able to like write this up because it's gonna be a long battle. But um, I'd say next week. Next week. We had to postpone it. It was supposed to be this week, but then we had to postpone it. So it's gonna, yeah, I think it's gonna be next week. Why would the elite care if I die? The elite will care if we all died. What if we all picked up arms and came for the elite, or pick up arms? Um, I don't think people know what they are up against. I think that the rulers of this realm. I don't think that's how we win. That's the thing. Like I don't think that's how we win. I think we win by becoming so damn conscious that we are no longer in love with this realm. Like we're no longer in love with the things of this realm. I think that's how we win. Like what's happening to most of y'all, because y'all, some of y'all will tell me that, hey man, I'm no longer interested in this. I'm no longer interested in working. I'm no longer interested in relationships. I'm no longer interested in marriage. Um, I think that's how you win. I mean, yeah, relationships are good, by the way, but I mean, the relationships that this world offers, it will be much better if people just learn to understand one another. I think the way that I want to be loved by another person is like them really understanding me. They might not even need to agree, but it's them understanding me, like really, really getting me. Because we might think that the people that we live with actually understand us. Like you talk to someone that's close to you about something, you truly express yourself, and you think they understand you, but they might be living in a different reality, and they might be interpreting what you're saying in their own way, so but not really be understanding you. That's why I tell people that the deepest form of love is understanding. It's you understanding another person. And I've been giving you all this example that like for example, like if you watch the what's the name of this movie, Avengers Infinity War, if they didn't show us uh what Thanos went through, then we would have just thought he was just crazy, right? But they allowed him to express themselves. They allowed him to tell us what happened to him before, for him to feel like he must um, unalive half of all life. Because that seemed crazy. But then we were able to understand things from his perspective, and some of us are like, hey, I think he was right, because we understand him. So this is the kind of understanding that I'm talking about. If there is something that is off with me, the if there's a person who loves me, they must understand why if I'm not perfect in some way, they must understand why I'm not perfect, right? They must understand, like if I tell them what I've been through, they must understand. They mustn't be judging, like, oh, you're just making excuses, you're just, you know what I mean. Like they must really, really understand. Like that's the kind of connection that I want. But yeah, I think us being able to detach ourselves by understanding how things really are in this world, I think that's us like freeing ourselves somehow. Like that's better than us revolting. I don't think that's the way. Like us revolting uh will be like that would be like, we kind of like believe in this realm. People revolting will be like they actually believe in this realm. Okay, how can you know hell without knowing what heaven is? It's yin and yang. No, that's a good question, but I'll show you something. When white people came to Africa, right? We didn't know that they were white people. We thought everyone else was just like us. Did that make our experience worse because we didn't know white people? We don't need to know hell to know heaven. You don't need to feel the worst amount of suffering to be able to experience the highest amount of pleasure. You don't need to like be tortured like crazy, crazy, crazy for you to feel the highest amount of pleasure. So don't lie to yourself. These spiritual teachers that are telling you this yin and yang thing, they're just lying to you. They just try to justify this nonsense. You don't need to know hell in order to know heaven. All right. You don't need to suffer to enjoy life. You can enjoy life even if you haven't suffered. There are people who haven't suffered that might be enjoying life, and like they even suffered. They even went. They even been sick like that. They even went through like horrible breakups. They even been broke. They even poor, and they've been right, and they appreciate. Like, yo, you need to know pain in order to appreciate, being in a better place in life. Like, nah, chill, chill. Just stop with that thing. It's outdated actually. Like we've seen enough to still believe in that. I've always no energy. Thoughts on that? I don't. You mean that you don't feel like you have energy? When we stress a lot, we release a lot of energy. So that might also have to do with that. Plus, I think because we were expected to do a lot of things, we believe that we must have a lot of energy. Because in this realm, we're expected to do a lot of things, but really, if this was a good experience, we wouldn't need to do a lot of things, so we didn't even need a lot of energy. So you might feel like you don't have enough energy because of the things that you're expected to do. Like you're expected to do a lot. Like that's the real problem. Okay, it's like if life is hell, why not end it? Mm, what a question. If life is hell, why not end it? How do you know that ending it really means that you escape this hell? I think it is better to just learn as much as you can. Try to understand what you can understand. As long as you can go on. If you can go on, you can go on. So why not learn what you need to learn? Why not prepare yourself? Watch channels like Forever Conscious Research. Um, if you have not watched any video from Forever Conscious Research, you know, check out the channel. It's about near-death experiences. Um, so this guy is like reacting to near-death experiences and explaining how people are being manipulated in when they're having a near-death experience. I think that's what we need to be focusing on as people. How do we free ourselves after this? Like prepare ourselves. Learn to vibrate much higher. Learn to not be affected by stupid things. Learn to not be scared. Right. I think that's what we need to be focusing on more than anything. I have a wealthy friend and he's constantly worrying about death. Yeah, people who are like really enjoying this, if they are enjoying this, they worry a lot about death. But that's rich people's problems. If you've been in hell, like if this was like really horrible for you, like the whole time, you might not even like really worry. You might not even be scared of death. You know, like I'm genuinely not scared of dying. Like genuinely not scared. Like if today was my last day, I wouldn't be scared. Like at all. I wouldn't be shaking. I would actually be talking to y'all guys the way that I'm talking to y'all. Like if this was my last day, I'll be talking to y'all the way that I'm talking to you. I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm gonna miss this, I'm gonna miss that, or be crying, or I wouldn't be. I would be talking to y'all the way that I'm talking to y'all. I'm really not scared of dying. Like zero fear. I don't even know how to explain. The only what I would be scared of is just dying a horrible death. But that's it. If I could just die peacefully, I wouldn't be scared. If an angel came to me in the morning and told me that I was gonna die at 12 midnight, I'll be like, it is what it is. I'll just do this live, talk to y'all guys, and that's it. I wouldn't be scared like at all, like zero fear. So yeah, it's and I don't think anyone should be scared of death. Just do what you think you should do to understand what this is, without holding yourself back. Sometimes people hold themselves back. Don't hold yourself back. To be rich is to possess value. How can one possess value if one possesses a deficient and a corruptible body? I think value, um for people to recognize something as valuable, you know, it has to be something that they can benefit from in some way. So that's why in this realm, people who have a lot of resources are, you know, are high value people. But I get your point. I get your point. It's just that in this realm, everything is upside down. So yes, if you have a lot of resources, people are gonna be treat you like you know you are a person of value. What's your opinion about people who do horrible things in the name of religion? I've always, I've always hated people who do horrible things in the name of God. People who torture other people, people who judge other people in the name of God. Like God wouldn't like that. God will hate that. God will hate you for doing that. I think it's people who are unable to think for themselves, right? Like they don't have a sense of like right or right and wrong. They don't have a sense of morality. So they would rather allow uh, something that is outside of them to tell them what's right and what's wrong. I hate those kind of people because you cannot reason with them. You cannot tell them that hey, this is wrong. They'll be like, hey, my religion says this is right. They'll be like, okay, this is right, and then they say my religion says that this is wrong. You're like, what? First of all, it's just religion. It hasn't even been proven to be true. You don't even know that your religion is true. You don't even know that your God exists. So let's try to reason as people. Let's try to use our minds. Let's try to be practical. I do have my own beliefs about existence, but when I'm like dealing with real problems, right? I'm not gonna be like, hey, consciousness is fundamental, this and like, no, we're dealing with this problem like humans will deal with these problems. So we have to leave God and religions and try to approach these problems the way that humans should approach these problems. So I've always hated those people who bring God into the conversation. Like, dude, I don't even believe in your God. I don't know your God, you know? So let's speak like humans because we don't know God, and that's truth. You've never experienced God, you've never had a conversation with God, but you're having a conversation with me. So let's have a conversation. This is the problem though. If you give in to greed, then you become happier as you make money. I don't know if you become happier if you make more money. To be honest with you, I know this doesn't sound right. I'm not saying if you have a lot of money, things ain't going to be better for you, but do you become happier? You might find yourself uh, experiencing more of what you like, but do you become happier? Like that's the thing. Do you become happier? Do you become happier when your quality of life improves? Because there are people who have everything that you want who feel worse than you do. That is true. All right. So do you really become happier when you have a lot of things that people want, when your quality of life improves? This question is very important. I think the truth is that we are just in the hell realm and everything is a trap. Like that is the truth. Everything is a trap. So you think, hey, I gotta work hard and make a lot of money and I'll be happy. You're gonna make money, but you still find yourself feeling the same. I think yes, if you grew up in poverty and you've not had the basic things that humans need, if you have these things, you're gonna feel better. That's 100% true. But I think once you reach a certain level, no matter what you get to achieve, I don't think that will improve your happiness. Like once you reach a certain level where you have the things that human beings should have, you have the need, like your needs are being made, like you have these things that human beings need. Becoming super rich might, I don't think that's gonna really make you happy, especially if you're a conscious person. Unless you are this person who wants to control other people, right? Maybe because you'd have more power and over other people. You'll be able to tell people what to do and all that. Like, Vince McMahon, you know, maybe, but really, I don't really think uh, being rich really makes people happy. Bro, you live in a beautiful house in a beautiful, okay. Talking about we live in hell realm. What do you talk about make no sense in your life? I remember this song by Ti. What's the name of this song? I think it's called Castle Walls. There's like some people think that I have it all, but it's still empty, even in this castle. Like let's say they put you in a jail that looked like that that had that looked like a mansion, right? They put you in a jail that looked like a mansion, but it's a jail. Do you think it would not be a jail just because it looks like a mansion? I mean, there are some jails that look better than the worst jails in the world, but it doesn't mean that it's still not jail. What we must understand is that people suffer in different ways. So even if you live in a nice place, it doesn't mean that you're not suffering. Even if you have a lot of things, it doesn't mean that you're not suffering. Even if uh, you are healthy, does not mean that you're not suffering. People suffer in their own ways, and you don't know what's going on in people's heads, right? Inside people's heads. You don't know how they think. Some people are going through hell in their own heads. Like people suffer in different ways. So even if you live in a nice house, you don't know if I live in a nice house. You're just assuming that I live in a nice house. But even if you do live in a nice house, it doesn't mean that you're not suffering. People suffer in different ways. Some people suffer because uh they live in a village where there's no water. They're suffering. That's the some people are suffering because they they have a lot of things, but they're still unhappy, and they're realizing that, well, it doesn't really matter what you get to have. All of it is a trap. So never undermine someone's pain, right? You don't know what a person is actually going through. um, you don't know how their lives actually are. So if you see something that is positive in someone's life, you shouldn't just conclude that it means they are not suffering. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make as people. We see some people doing well, and then we think, maybe financially, and we think they don't have problems. You're like, this person, but they're making this amount of money every month. They have this kind of job, and you think they're not suffering. Life has a way to make people suffer. So it doesn't really matter how we look at another person. What matters is how they feel and what they're really going through, because we can only project. That's the thing. People project. I woke up one morning and saw your channel. Lori Tedman Mile. I hope you subscribed. I hope you subscribe. Then, where is he reading though? As I'm reading, I'm gonna read all the comments. It's just that I'm slow, right? And if someone posts a comment that requires a longer time, to like respond to them. But then I am reading the comments for real. Corey T, me too. Sometimes things will tap on me to wake me up. Okay, I think Corey T is responding to what I was saying. Like happens to me when I'm about to fall asleep or when I'm about to wake up. Like hearing voices. Like I hear real voices. Like it's crazy. You hear a voice, and it wakes. Okay. We're reconnected again. Okay, yeah. But sometimes, yeah, I do hear voices when I'm sleeping. Like not like in a dream, but you hear voices, like actual voices with your own ears. It's actually crazy, and it does scare me. It does scare me because not that I'm scared of like the voices, like the people, the sources of the voices. Not really, but what if that happens to me when I'm totally awake? What if I hear voices when I'm totally awake? Because it's strange that when I'm about to fall asleep, I hear these voices. It's kind of like it's like being tuned into a radio station, right? Like you hear something, you hear some conversations, or you hear. Sometimes it might not even be voices; it might be something falling. Like you hear something falling, or sometimes you might hear something like a bug, like making some noise. Like that's it's strange, and it can be scary. But um, I always tell myself that, well, because I've always heard these voices since, like, I've heard these voices all my life. So I'm like, hey, if I've been hearing these voices since the age of 5, then it means I'm alright, because I didn't go crazy. So it means that I'm alright. But yeah, it's strange because sometimes these voices really do wake me up, like for real. Like they wake me up. You find that I've been sleeping for like 8 hours, and then they wake me up, and I wake up and be like, what? The evil spirits are on your case, bro. They see that you are a threat. Yeah, that can be scary, because I do realize that there ain't that many people who think the way that I think. But I think we shouldn't be scared no matter what. And the reason why we shouldn't be scared is because I think you give power to evil entities when you're scared. So you must try not to be scared. Like if there's something evil that is trying to attack you, I think when you're scared, that's when you truly give it power. Hell is darkness and heaven is light. Guess what you are seeing in the sky every day? Mm, I think it has a lot to do with experience than like whether like something. Because let me show you something. I remember I saw this comment from this guy. He was saying that in this world you create, like if you focus on darkness, you're gonna see darkness. If you seek the light, you're gonna find the light. And that might seem like a positive comment. Like, yeah, maybe some people just focus too much on darkness, and that's why they see darkness. Some people focus on the light, that's why they see the light. The problem is that if you are really in a bad place and you try to find the light, you might actually um you might end up lying to yourself. You might end up giving yourself false hope and you call it the light. You might find that the light will actually be something that you consider to be negative in that situation that you are in. Like for example, if you are in a bad relationship, a really really bad relationship for real, you're being mistreated for real, and you're not loved and you're being used, you might tell yourself that, well, in this, okay, this person doesn't love me, this person might be using me, but at least I'm getting this and that from them, right? That's, you're choosing to focus on the light, you're choosing to focus on the positive. But what if the real light is you actually living that relationship? What if the real light is you seeing that, okay, this relationship is bad, this relationship really isn't going to work? You are getting close to having out of body experiences. Yeah, you might be right. When I vibrate, I do feel myself. I do feel like I'm about to have an out of body experience. It's just that I decide to not go on with it because it's, yeah, it feels like I don't feel like I know enough, right? Like I can feel it that I'm about to have an out of body experience, but I'm like, I don't know enough. I need to know enough. I'm not sure if I'm ready, but I think you are right. A lot of gurus say it's heaven. Yeah, they have to say it's heaven. They have to say it's heaven because, well, they call themselves gurus, right? And they want a following, so they want to make people feel like they have figured this shit out. So they will call it heaven. They will make people believe that it's heaven. but that doesn't mean it's heaven. You have to listen to what they say. Most of these gurus that are famous make a lot of sense, but when they try to justify this, they stop making sense, right? They stop making sense because, well, you can't really justify this. You can't really call this heaven. They became famous because they make a lot of sense, but they still have to make this seem like a positive place, because if they don't, they are afraid that people ain't gonna look up to them anymore. Like, oh, that one is very negative, so they have to be positive all the time. They have to maintain that positive image. The people that suffer the most are the most religious. I think they suffer so much that they need to cling onto that. No, that is true. I was thinking a lot about that. That the people who are religious actually suffer the most. The difference is that they bullshit themselves the most, right? They suffer the most, but they bullshit themselves the most. Like, if you're suffering, like for real, but you are telling yourself that you're suffering because you are very important, you're chosen, you're fighting for something bigger than yourself, you're gonna feel better, even if you are really suffering. It's like if you're waking out, even if you, like, if you're jogging, right, and you know that you're gonna feel much better. Like, you're gonna feel better when you're jogging. But if you were just running and you didn't think that there was something that's gonna, like, you're gonna feel better after jogging, you will not feel better while jogging. So the problem is that Christianity give them, I mean, Christianity gives these people false hope. It's not like there's something that they're gonna gain for their suffering. It's like if there were two slaves. Like, I had two slaves, right? And I told them different stories. I told the other slave that, hey, work for me, and after working for me, I'm gonna give you a very nice house. You're not gonna be a slave anymore. And the other slave, I told them the truth. Like, nee, you just work for me. That's it. You're gonna be a slave forever. Like, you're not gonna get anything. The slave, like, let's say I lied to the other slave. The other slave, I told them the truth that they're not gonna get anything. They would be unhappy, right? Because they know they're not gonna get anything. The slave that I've lied to would feel happy. So that's the thing. That's Christianity. Like, these people are suffering like crazy, but they believe that they're suffering for something. NPC people everywhere. What you need to ask yourself is, why wouldn't there be NPCs? Like, in a world like this, there has to be NPCs, right? Say something about J Krishna. hmm I've watched his videos. I agree with some of the things that he says. Um, I don't know what his core teachings are, but they I've watched videos of people talking about his teachings, and I agree with yeah, I agree with most of what he spoke about. The potential for evil is evil itself. That's deep. The potential for evil, it's evil itself. It's like when you think of something bad that can happen, how do you feel? Like, you feel bad, right? Like, that can torture you, and you're not always wrong. Like, you can think of something bad that might happen, and that actually happens. So you're thinking of it. You're preparing yourself for it. Like, you bracing yourself can be torturous, and then that still happens. Said Guru says we're living in heaven, we are just making a mess of it. Yeah, I think I've heard him say that on the Joe Rogan Experience. Yeah, yeah, we're living in heaven, we're just making a mess of it. I think I've heard him say that, yeah, he's against Christianity because Christians tell people that they're gonna be in heaven in the afterlife, and he says that it's wrong to think that way because you're not going to try to turn this into a heaven because you are expecting heaven in the afterlife. But the problem is that he's not the only person who lives in this planet. So even if he's a good person, it doesn't mean that everyone in the world is going to follow him just because he's a good person. And it doesn't mean that his followers are going to be good people still. So this automatically turns it into hell because people are different. So no matter what he says, he can say this is heaven, we're turning it into a hell. Yes, uh, we are the ones who are causing suffering in this world, but we've been programmed to be that way. And even if he says that this is heaven, it's not going to change anything. That's the problem. So we've had spiritual teachers before who have been teaching people how to live, and still things don't change. So yeah, someone can say this is heaven, we're turning it into hell, but what does that accomplish? Nothing. It doesn't change anything. It's still going to be a hell. Like no matter what people believe, this is still going to be a hell. So that automatically makes it a hell. Is rich, so yeah, he's in heaven and powerful. Yeah, Sadhguru is rich and is very powerful, like very powerful. And I don't want to say anything negative about Sadhguru because I think he's right about most of the things that he says. He's an intelligent guy. He didn't gain that kind of following because of the beard. Like he's an intelligent guy. He is really an intelligent guy, but he tries to be positive. That's the thing with these spiritual gurus. They try to be positive because what can they say? They can't just be like, hey, I mean, I think I've heard Sadhguru saying that. I think someone asked him about. He said, "Oh, I have a friend." This lady asked him, "Yo, I have a friend who doesn't want to have children. What would you say to her?" And he said, "I would congratulate her because we have more people. Like we have enough people. Like, so I will actually congratulate her." So he thinks Sadhguru does think. Um, but yeah, he's trying to be positive. He's trying to be positive. That's the thing. I can sense that he just tries to be positive even when he can see that something is just off. But also I don't think he suffered that like a lot in life to be able to see things from the perspective of a person who truly have suffered. Like if you haven't really suffered and things just happen to work out, even if you are very intelligent, because Sadhguru is intelligent, you might not really understand why some people really feel like this is hell because you've never really lived life from their perspective. You've only lived life from your perspective and things haven't been that bad for you. So that's the thing. Francis Ngannou on the podcast also said his childhood was taken from him. It affects his happiness today. Yeah, that's. But here's the thing. Here's what I've realized actually. When we are unhappy, we tend to like point to something that has happened back then and be like, this is why I'm unhappy. But I think even if these things that we're pointing to didn't happen, we'll still feel the way that we feel. So you think, well, I'm unhappy because I was treated this way when I was young, but even if you weren't treated that way, you still be unhappy. I think uh your mind just associates your unhappiness to bad experiences that you've had in the past, but you find that it has nothing to do with that. I mean, uh, we've been programmed to think that we should be happy. So if we're unhappy, it has to be there has to be there has to be someone to blame, right? There must be something that's wrong that has happened. So that's why we try to connect our unhappiness to things that have happened back then. Seems like enlightenment is a cope. Mm, I think for some people it is, but I think it depends on what you mean by enlightenment, right? It depends on what you mean by enlightenment, because there are some people who would say, "Yeah, I'm enlightened, and I've realized that everything is me, everyone is me, and I shouldn't stress. I should be happy." Like non-dualist teachers, right? But that's cope. I think that's cope. But I think some people can be so enlightened that they see everything for what it is. Like they don't need to tell themselves lies. Because non-dualist teachers always try to be positive. They'll say there is no sufferer. There isn't a person who's actually suffering. It's just me who's making this all everything up. There is no me, right? So the whole thing is just about them experiencing suffering by using this this newfound knowledge of like reality. But yeah, that's cope. But I do think that a person can become truly enlightened, that they understand the truth about things that a lot of people do not understand the truth about, and that can put them uh, in a better state of mind, because now they are able, they've detached themselves from a lot of things that are torturing people here, right? Said Guru meditated for 3 months straight. Is different, bro. Yeah, I've watched a video where he was saying that he meditated for 3 months straight, but I would like to see proof of that. But yeah, I've watched that video actually, because I've been like I there's something about him. Like we shouldn't lie about. Like there's something about him. But most of these spiritual teachers will say something that will make other people follow them, right? That will make them like that will make other people think that they're supernatural, so that they'll listen to them more. He lost his son or sacrificed his son. That's why he feels horrible about his action. Yeah, you're talking about Francis. Who knows? If God does not exist, then humans are capable of creating heaven and eternal life in the far future. If the Christian vision of hell existed, do you think we'll be able to create a heaven in a hell realm like that? The problem is the realm itself, how it is supposed to be. You know how long we've been trying to make this better, but we never get rid of suffering. Like suffering just takes a different form. But we suffer. So yes, even if back then we suffered because we were fighting, there were no laws, like we weren't safe, we had to starve and all that. But now we're suffering still. Just because we're alive doesn't mean that we're enjoying the experience. A lot of people want to check out, bro. So I think we'll never turn this into a heaven. We'll never be able to turn this realm into a heaven. I think this realm itself is uh, a hell. So it can never be a heaven. We just need to learn as much as we can and to be as conscious as we can be while we're still here. Dreams tell me more than the world. What do you mean? Money can't bring back the sacrificed. They have to live with that forever. I had a mother who had passed when I was young due to a car wreck. I've survived 3 car wrecks and have no memories of my last one a few years ago. Do you believe it's a reason I'm here or coincidence? What do you mean it's a reason you're here? Or you mean there's a reason why you are here? Okay, let me read your comment again. I had a mother who had passed on when I was young due to a car wreck. I've survived 3 car wrecks and have no memory of my last one a few years ago. Do you believe it's a reason I'm here or coincidence? No, I really don't understand your question. Like, if you've stated the reason why you think you are here, yeah, maybe I would have been able to understand your question better. I have a question. Did aliens create humans? I think that makes sense to believe because there's more evidence for this than like, if really you wanted to believe that we live in a physical world where animals have evolved, where humans have evolved, I think it makes more sense to think that aliens intervened in our evolution. And that will explain why we have like so many ancient monuments that we can't explain. That would explain why people back then believed in like gods, right? That will explain the stories of the Anunnaki, right? That will explain why we have the technologies that we have. That will explain why we are more advanced than other animals. So yeah, it does make sense to look at things that way, but I still think consciousness is fundamental. I just think there are things in this room that make more sense to believe than most of the things that people believe. If you believe that consciousness is fundamental, then what's your opinion about the soul? What do you mean? Oh, but about the soul. Oh, all right, all right, all right. I think your soul is part of the dream. Like, you're dreaming that you have a soul. Like, there's nothing that is physical or that can be seen that can actually exist. Like, consciousness cannot see itself. You understand? So everything it sees is its projection. So even a soul is its projection. So we don't have soul, but we can dream that we have souls. Maybe he faints because he's dreaming. Could you be talking about me and what happened to me like earlier this year? We're here for a reason. That African kid who hasn't eaten food in a month with a swollen abdomen caused by malnutrition. I love because a lot of people think that in Africa, like, people starve like that. I think it's because of what happened back then. Like, there's this famous pictures that was taken in Sudan of this kid that was suffering of like you could see that this kid was really really hungry. So a lot of people like think that in Africa, like, people are starving, like like it's not really like that. But yeah, that people have starved in Africa before. You cannot say that that happened for a reason. Like, that wouldn't make sense. Like, when you're comfortable, typing on your phone, and you have not experienced other people suffering, you just think it's nothing. You can it's easy to just say it's happening for a reason. But if you've experienced what other people have experienced, you like people who have truly suffered, you wouldn't be saying that you'll be done. You'll be like, no, 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 this ain't it, you know. So the problem is that, so you've never really, you've never really really seen the truth about this realm. Hey, brother, I've been following your shit for like a month now. Love it. You are a real dude, man. Putting it in the real perspective. No, thanks, man. Thanks. Outlaw. No free will by nature. Yep. I think it's all about suffering. You don't learn anything in this life. Yeah. There's not, and except for the things that you teach yourself. So you're not here to learn, but you can teach yourself uh, uh, something that can help you, especially in your next life. I know some people just like don't believe that this ain't the end, but it's better to just learn as much as you can. If this is the end, then it will end and you'll be fine. But if it's not the end, then learn as much as you can. Jesus said, I'm the light of life. Did Jesus say he's the light of life, though? When did Jesus say that is the light of life? Some people say that Jesus said is the light of life. That's just like that's more accurate than saying that Jesus said is the light of life. There are some people who say that Jesus said is the light of life. The people of the future will figure out eternal life and also create time machines and come back to save each and every one of us. Now that's scary, and that is why I'm saying that uh, we must understand that we're being manipulated in so many different ways in this world. Like we're dealing with forces that we do not understand. So you might stand in your own power, right? Become an unbeliever. Don't, like, if you have suffered in your life, if this has not made sense, then be an unbeliever. Don't believe in this reality. Don't believe in what you are being shown. Um, don't believe in what you're seeing on TV. What these people are telling you that this is all good. This is created for a good. Like, don't believe any of these people. Just stand in your own power. Like, look at life from a solipsistic standpoint. Look at life as if you are the only conscious person here, and ask yourself if this has really made sense. My greatest achievement is not having a child. I actually feel that way too. Like, I feel happy when I remember that I didn't bring anyone here. I'm like, dude, I'm glad that I actually realized that something was off. But I'm not saying those who have already brought a person here should feel guilty. You didn't know what you know now. I'll be back. I'll be back, guys. I'll be back. I'll be back. Consciousness is God and boundaries create limitations. Can you elaborate more on that? Like, what do you mean by boundaries? Lifelong Christian here. It took me 29 years to figure out it's all a lie and we're trapped. I'll get out eventually. I love that. People are realizing that they've been lied to. Like it makes me laugh because it's hard to convince a Christian that they're wrong. Like it's hard. Like it's so damn hard. Like people like wake up on their own. That's what I've realized. So you can have a conversation with a Christian today, and then they don't realize that you're telling them the truth. But like after a year, they change. Like they cannot change because there's arrogance. Like I am right, and I need to save this person who's saying that I'm not right. But then because they've said things that make more sense than what you believe, you start to see that. But what they're saying is they actually make sense. When I look at the things that are happening in my life, what they were saying actually explains what's happening in my life. Christianity makes less sense than what they were saying. So yeah, that's that's why it takes time for Christians to actually wake up. It's terrifying to think that we live in a hell realm. Yeah, the fact that this was possible is really terrifying. And like the fact that we once believed that this was good and we're having a positive experience and this was gonna make sense. Like that's really terrifying. What's your views about chosen ones? But everything in this life matches. What do you mean everything in this life matches? You mean that everything is like depends on other things. Like there isn't anything that doesn't depend on another thing. Like everything is connected. I reject all negative experiences presented by this damage. Yeah, we need to not. We need to take things less seriously. Said realization. You should check out the Gospel of Thomas. Or is responding to outlawed. Yeah, I like the Gospel of Thomas actually. Um, you are here to transform this realm. Like no, that's a trap. Believing that you're here to transform this realm is a trap because you cannot transform it. You just work very hard while giving this matrix your energy, believing that you're doing something that is actually important, while you're not really doing, something that actually like really like transform this realm. You're just busy feeding this beast that is controlling this realm. You're not here to transform this realm. You were put here for the benefit of whatever trapped us in this realm. Your job is to realize that, and you become conscious enough to be able to reject its power, right? You become more powerful than it by becoming more conscious, by knowing. If you still try to justify this realm, if you still say this makes sense, if you still say that the cycle of life makes sense, like that's on you. You you just be in a trap that you won't really be able to escape. If your consciousness told you to do something that seemed risky and out of the ordinary, would you do it? Um, I wouldn't know that it's my consciousness that's telling me that. And it depends on the risk itself. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna like something really, really bad is gonna happen to me, like something really, really bad. or I'm just gonna get embarrassed. If the worst thing that can happen is embarrassment, I'll do it. But if the worst thing is me ending up in prison or dead I before I feel ready, then no. Black hole, is good to see you live again. Thanks, man. Thanks. Athena Joy, hello. Hey, Athena. I think it's my first time seeing you on my live. Eugene Lonerton. Please talk more about the idea that in a higher world will be harder to realize the truth or see the reality. Um, what we must realize is that um, in any reality, it's not easy to realize the truth. Like for an example, when you're dreaming, you don't. I mean that's reality to you. That's why I call it reality. But when you're dreaming, you don't realize that you're dreaming. Even when weird things are happening, you don't realize that you're dreaming, right? There are a lot of weird things that are happening, but you don't realize that these things that are happening are weird, right? It's only after you've ascended that you'll be like, "Ah, but that was weird. How was it possible that I was fooled by that?" But this is the thing. You still be fooled in the realm that you will be in. So what is important is to know that you are being fooled in every realm. If you can have a dream where you realize that you are really being fooled, and then you wake up and remember that you had a dream where you realize that you are being fooled, it will be much easier for you to realize that you are being fooled in this realm. So if you can realize that you're being fooled in this realm, and then you wake up, right? You die, you ascend. It's going to be much easier for you to realize that you are being fooled where you are. Of course, you're going to deal with beings that are going to tell you that they are gods. They created the whole thing, you know? You're going to be dealing with some highly advanced beings. So it's better to realize, that you are being fooled, right? You realize that something is playing with you. Earth is the bottom sphere of the tree of life. Hmm. It's actually the opposite. Man, I've watched it all out. It's fake. God will never help you. It says you ask and you shall receive. Then it is blatant. It's a blatant lie. God hasn't helped me ever in my worst times in life. I'm done begging. You know how many people pray in this world every day? You know how many people are praying right now? How many people are in church fasting right now, praying, crying, rolling on the floor? But they'll still, when they go back home, they'll still be facing their problems. Just realize it was all a lie. This room is as it is by design. You cannot fix it. It was designed this way. To extract energy from us. Trying to fix this is another trap. Yeah, I love what this. I love what diligence, humility is saying. Yeah, it's another trap. Thinking that you can fix this is another trap. Once you realize this is a hell room, then when bad things happen to you, all is as intended. Yeah, it might not hurt as much because you know that, well, that's what happens. You know, this place is about frequency, vibration, and energy. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, the Gospel of Thomas says, once you find God, you will be terribly disturbed. That book was removed from the Bible by the founders of the Bible. Mm, yeah, it was. But it doesn't mean that it was true. right? I want you to get that. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't. It makes sense. It makes complete sense. I love Gnostic teachings, 100%. Like that's what I love to read. Uh, but you must also realize that if I tell a lie and someone else told a lie that contradicts my lie, I'll try to silence that person because they're telling a lie that contradicts my lie. You see? So you must also you look at it that way. But Gnostic teachings make complete sense. Like if we were to explain this reality using Gnostic teachings to explain this reality makes complete sense because even my videos they align a lot with Gnostic teachings. Something or someone is holding this reality together. Yeah, that's 100% true. It's not random. If you believe this is random, you'll be manipulated a lot because you'll be like, oh, this is random. There are no forces behind the scenes that are controlling this, but it's not. I feel like there is some truth to solipsism, but couldn't it be that people are still real, but we who have awakened just remember the time when there was only singularity? Mm, okay. Here's the thing. If your mind is able to create a world when you are sleeping, right? Like when you're dreaming, it's able to create a world where there are other people who have their own thoughts, who seem, oh, let me not say who have their own thoughts, but who seem to have their own thoughts, who do things that you don't even predict. Like that's 100% possible. I'd say it is logical to think that is what is happening now. That consciousness is able to create NPCs, if you want to call them NPCs, that you interact with and believe that are real. But maybe in the real reality, what we'll call the real reality, maybe other people exist, but then you're dreaming. So it's only when you've woken up to the highest reality that you will interact with other conscious beings and you will know beyond any reasonable doubt that they are conscious. Maybe. But solipsism makes complete sense. It makes more sense to think if you can have dreams where you are the only conscious being, you don't know how the dream started, you believe 100% that the dream is real, you focus on the things that are happening as if they're real, like you get too invested until you wake up and you're like, oh shit, it was just a dream. It's very possible that that's what is happening now, that life is your dream, that every conscious experience that you can have is a dream. It's just that when you are in it, you think it's not a dream. Why do you think that it's not a dream? Because you believe that you dream only when you are sleeping. But the problem is that you never remember sleeping when you are dreaming. So that's the thing. So when you are having a dream, you're like, well, I'm not sleeping. So that means I'm not dreaming, right? Because you don't remember going to sleep. It's a trap. It's funny when you think about it. Wouldn't it be funny if you wake up from this reality, and you'll be like, well, it was just a dream. How did I not realize it was a dream? I actually watched a video of this guy. His name is Benedictine. He was telling me it's a dream, and I was like, but nah, it can't be. It can't be. But damn, that's crazy, man. But yeah, solipsism is interesting. Solipsism is interesting. I feel like there's some truth to this one. Every thought and feeling is of earth. It's not you. You don't need to engage. Um, Feels and thoughts hold you down, making you doubt. Get rid of desire and wants. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually agree. I actually agree. It's easier said than done. But it's true. Suffering is necessary. What do you mean suffering is necessary? I mean, yeah, for the whatever created this is benefiting a lot from our suffering, but it doesn't mean that it's necessary for us, right? Like this doesn't mean that there's something we can benefit from suffering. Don't we need to suffer to know what joy is? Do you need to be in prison to know what freedom is? I know there are some people who have never been to prison, but well, do they need to be in prison first you know, to know what it's like to be outside? You'll have to do meditation and yoga to gain mind and body control, unleash this precious soul to far out and back. Yeah, that helps. I like your answers to the guy who said you were boring. I actually find myself watching your videos a lot. Discovered you at the right time. Thanks. No, everyone is boring to someone. That's the truth. You could never you would never be loved by everyone. You could never um be appreciated by everyone. It's just how it is in this form. Whoever the higher power is must be a troll. You have all the power and refuse to fix shit within your own creation. Yeah, the problem is that we've been programmed to believe that the higher power gives a shit. Like whatever like manifested this reality manifested it for us to like enjoy ourselves. Like no, like that was not the reason. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messengers. What do you mean? Do you think we are put in this room as some sort of bizarre punishment? Um, I think that's highly unlikely. I wouldn't say we're put here to be punished. I would say we're put here for something else to benefit. Like it makes more sense to think that we're put here for something else to benefit than for us to be punished. I mean, even you wouldn't really want to punish someone for the sake of punishing them, right? Like if you created a world where you wanted things to happen a certain way, would you want to punish those who don't follow the rules for the sake of punishing them, and they don't even know they are being punished? So they're not really learning anything when you're punishing them. Or it makes sense to think this whole thing was created for someone's benefit. Like someone is actually benefiting from our ignorance, us not knowing what we're doing. us not knowing what this is all about, but we're suffering. I think it makes more sense to look at it that way than to think we're being punished. Lose soul. The Quran is all we need, for the Lord has given it to us as His guidance. That's funny, man. Why must people give credit to good things that happen to them to God? Like, I'm quitting alcohol, and everyone is saying I should think it's bullshit. I am doing this. So everything good is God, everything bad is devil. It's bias actually. This place is a field of determination where beings experience light and darkness, and where bodies are composed of both water, light, and soul, darkness. Hmm, who told you that? If we had the answers, we wouldn't be here. Yeah, I like that. Yo, Luso is commenting. I'm trying to avoid Luso's comments about Islam. Life is a test, brother. Stay strong. There are those who see the suffering and turn to God, and those who turn their backs on Him. Those who turn to Him are the inhabitants of John. Uh, Look, there are people in this world, when they are being manipulated, they don't see that they are being manipulated. They believe everything that they're told. They don't ask any questions. I think you're one of those people. You don't ask the right questions. If God is omnipotent and He created everything and He knew how things are going to be, that will automatically mean that He put you in this trap for like for His own benefit, right? Like, it's not about you. It's not really about you making the right choice and all that. Like, you must be conscious enough to see when you are being manipulated. It means that you wanted to play this game. You wanted to play this game where conscious beings suffer, because that's what he wants. You could have created a world where conscious beings do not suffer. So you created a world where conscious beings suffer. Um, and he says they must believe in him so that he will save them. So it's um he puts people in a trap. Like, he decides that he must put people in a trap, and then he put them in a trap, and he said they must call on his name for him to save them. Don't you see that that is nonsense? That would be like me uh, putting you in a cave where you can't like escape, and say, call on my name, believe in me, and I will save you. And then you call on my name, and then I save you. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that only proves that the God that you believe in is evil. That's it. So this thing of quoting scripture doesn't really make sense. Let's be real here. We do get that you believe that Allah is going to save us and all that. But if Allah is this being that is very powerful and that can do anything, this if he was good, this wouldn't even exist. He would have fixed all this mess. Are you a fan of um authors? Man, I can't even pronounce this guy's name, but yeah, I've or Buddhism. Yeah, I know a lot about Buddhism. Not necessarily a fan, but I agree with most of the quotes that I've seen from yeah, author Oppenheimer. Yeah, like, I can't pronounce his name right, but I've never like read like his work like that, but I've seen the quotes. So yeah, I agree. Alcohol is haram. What does haram mean? It means something bad, right? Like, that's what they told you, but do you see me doing something wrong? Do you see me harming another person? Do you see me making bad decisions just because I'm drinking alcohol? Like, they've lied to you. This is just, this is just the truth. They've lied to you. Like, you're not even having a full human experience, right? You're limiting yourself. I'm not saying you must drink alcohol to have a full human experience, but Muslims limit themselves so much that They are in a worse prison than most humans are in. The only difference is that they believe that something good is going to happen. I love when uh like there's this scene from South Park where some dude died thinking that it was going to meet 72 virgins, right? And then when he got to heaven, he saw some nerdy kids playing, instruments, and some were playing games, and he was like, "Oh, Sarma!" Like he was so damn mad. The fact that there were people who believed that they were gonna meet 72 or 74 visions, like that's crazy. That's madness. That shows you how um powerful religion can be. I keep on telling people that religion is a cult. Like, hey, all these religions are cults. So I guess Schopenhauer was kind of like saying there was some BS entity, but it wasn't specific. Uh, yeah, that's 100% right. There is some BS entity. Okay, makes Headroom says all religions have some truth in them. Yeah, even the worst people in this world do speak truth sometimes. People are judgmental, but you should repent to Allah for your actions. Only He can ease your life, brother. Yeah, because this entity that you call Allah, you also believe that this entity has created this realm. So of course, if He created this realm, He's the one that can make it better. You know what I mean? So that's why you believe that He can ease my life. You guys suffer from what they call Stockholm syndrome, where people who've been kidnapped end up um, relying on their kidnappers because, well, they are the ones with power. They're the ones who can actually save them. The more and more I live, the more I genuinely believe we're in a hell room, and that sucks. Yeah, it starts to make sense, especially if you are honest with yourself. I hate how judgmental people are. It's like living in internal hell where all eyes are on every single mistake I make, and it eats me alive. Those who judge do not understand. Those who understand do not judge. Glitch P says we are in an advanced simulation that is trying to maximize novelty. Being good isn't novel enough. Noble enough or novel enough. Noble enough, I think. That's what he meant to say. We are in hell, everyone. Surprise. Like it's obvious, right? That girl that really broke your heart, what happened? I asked because my heart got broken over the last year. um, I'll probably make a video talking about that. I think every guy has had that girl that like broke their heart, but then you heal and learn what you need to learn, which is a good thing. Luso, you're gonna change. The creator is visible every day, but humans wouldn't recognize the truth if it slapped them in the face, and for sure they wouldn't understand justice if it kicked them in the balls. Yeah, but my question is, why wouldn't they be able to understand the truth? Why wouldn't they be able to recognize the creator? Wouldn't it be because the creator created beings that are unable to recognize him? Like, is it their fault that they don't recognize him? Is it their fault that they don't recognize truth? Like, if you want to look at it that way, if you are this religious person who uh, are blaming people for not recognizing God, you have to understand how easy it will be for God to, if he was omnipotent, to talk to everyone and make this everyone believe in him. Like it will be very easy. You'll be able to talk to people in a way that will make them believe in him, and they will be using their free will to believe in him if he was good and he made sense, right? But he's deciding to use people like who's it? Is it Lusso to tell us that he exists instead of like showing us that he exists, instead of communicating with us in ways that we're gonna like that are gonna make sense to us. It just shows you that religion was just used to brainwash people, and people like Lusos have just been brainwashed, and they believe that they found the truth, so they're stuck. In fact, you go to hell and suffer to the extreme amount simply for not believing is in itself evil in nature. That's why I don't believe in religion. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like hell is like that's where religion totally screwed up. That's when religion like that's where religion totally screwed up. It's like if a guy approached a girl and was like, "Yo, I want to be in a relationship with you," and that girl said, I have a boyfriend, or I'm not ready to be in a relationship," and that guy said, "Oh, you stupid," or said something that makes that girl feel uncomfortable. Like, will she ever love him? Like that's it. Like that's where he screwed up. Rich guy, what are your thoughts on? No, I've already answered this. I've already answered. The simulation wants novelty and complexity and bad behavior. Okay. No, the simulation wants novelty and complexity, and bad behavior complexifies reality. Conscious beings are being rewarded for doing horrible things, man. Like all animals are actually being rewarded for doing horrible things. To survive in the jungle, you need to be a badass. You know, to survive in this room, you need to be a badass. I don't make the rules. Yeah, I'm done worshiping these entities when I'm trapped in life, where I'm suffering every single day. Yeah, it honestly doesn't make sense, man. Jesus was a real historical character. Even if Jesus was a real historical character, it doesn't mean that everything that we've read about him is true, right? Even if he was a real historical character, that's what you must realize. There are books that have like were banned by the church that don't describe Jesus as this being that Christians believe in. That's You must also take that into account. Okay, Earth out in anagram for hearts. Thus, they target our hearts to make them heavy, so we remain here. I love that. I love what you're saying. I remember a week ago I was communicating with someone who was telling them about, who was telling me about how they grew up. Um, they were telling me that they can't forgive their parents and their siblings because of how they grew up, and I was like, I think the matrix wins when we are in this state where we're so mad at these people who have had us. Like this matrix hurts us on purpose. Like it wants us to have like this heavy heart that kind of like keeps us here, right? We're so angry, we're so mad. I think that's why most of y'all who like are really conscious suffer. It's because you're so damn conscious that you can actually escape. So this there's these entities that are torturing you. Battery low, 15%. Damn. Actually, I've used my computer to stream, or I think I must buy a webcam so that I'll be able to use my computer to stream, because I wanted this to be like like one of the longest streams that we've ever done. Um, and I'm not sure how I can, yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. Rich guy, rich. I sent you 2 page super chat. You didn't address my question. No, I already did. I have already addressed your question. Actually, I responded uh, like to the first question that you've asked. That's why when you've asked the same question the second time, I didn't respond. Like just watch. Just I have like just um around 2 hours, like somewhere around 2 hours, just somewhere there. I have responded to your question. I began thinking this because think about life for 1 second. We're born, then we just do a bunch of things that we don't want to do, struggling to survive all the time. Like, come on. Yeah, that's one of the biggest problems that I have with this existence, that we have to do the things that we do not want to do in order to like survive, to be able to get to afford food, to be able to afford shelter, uh to be respected, in order for people to say, hey, we are contributing in society. But that tells you that something is wrong. We're supposed to be doing what we really want to do. Being forced to do what we do not want to do to get what we want, that in itself tells us that something is off. We're supposed to do what we want and get what we want, not do what we do not want to get what we want. It's just that we're so used to that we, uh, I don't know, we kind of like we justify it. We justify that we justify this nonsense. There's an event in the future that is so powerful, it is pulling the present towards it. It is a powerful attractor state. The singularity is near. Uh, why do you think that? Um, hey, maybe it's the system we're forced to operate in, not the world itself. The fact that the world gave birth to this system tells you something. The fact that we've been programmed in a way that makes us create these systems tells you something. The fact that we worship the people who created these systems tells you something. These systems are part of this world. They exist because we are in this world. Also, to be honest, part of me is scared of the world ending, but another part of me is like, thank God it'll end. You think the world is gonna end soon? Let me see. The battery is too low, guys. The battery is too low. That's why I'm checking for comments from people that I have not responded to, because the battery is too low. I'm coming. No, I'm just drinking water. This sounds like broke people's problems. Get rich should be your number one goal so you can explore this reality. Mm, yeah, it's good to have more options, but the things that we have to do to become rich, they can keep us in a very low state of consciousness. That's the problem. Like the things that we have to do to become rich, they can keep us in a very low state of consciousness. So we might find ourselves uh, trapped here forever because of the things that we need to do to become rich. Only way to reduce the suffering is to come to the realization that you are here to suffer. Yeah, that does help, so that you're no longer surprised when you're suffering. I get the impression that nobody is prepared to break the rules of reality yet. If we broke the rules, acted unselfishly, maybe something will happen. No, I like what you're saying, but I'm not just. I don't think breaking the rules of society of this reality is acting selfless. I mean, yeah, selflessly. I think is to do things that um, you've never done before, things that you've been scared to do, but that you felt that you must do. Like break the rules. Break the. I don't mean the rules that can like get you locked, but I mean break you've programmed yourself to behave a certain way that can limit you. Like try to operate outside the box, see what happens. That's what I mean. Stop being scared, stop acting like other people, stop being like um stop being part of like just be real. Don't be part of the hive mind like that. Be real, be yourself, be authentic, play by your own rules, do what you want to do. If that really makes sense, see what happens. I think that's how we break the rules, because we've been programmed to be scared, we've been programmed to live in fear. Mm, the battery is very very low. Yeah, guys, keep liking the live. I think we have like I don't know, it's 100 likes. Thank you all guys for the likes. I'm trying to respond to people that have not responded to. Only 11% left. So I think I'll need to get a webcam so that I do have a webcam, but it's not. I don't like the quality. So I'm gonna need to get a webcam so that I'll use my laptop so that we can do this for as long as possible. The Shane essay. You know what I'm drinking, man? It's Castle. It's Castle Lager. The Shane essay is a producer. Like he's from my village. He makes house music. Is a very good producer. Brave girl. I'm just angry. I have so many more decades to live. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Outlaw. Be careful, brother. That thing in your hand, if it's alcohol, it is great at causing more suffering. Saying that out of love, I nearly drank my life gone. That is what my channel is about. But I plan. Okay. I think there are people who became alcoholics and who have suffered because of alcohol. That's 100% true. Uh, but not everyone gets addicted to alcohol, right? Not everyone gets addicted to alcohol. So, but I get what you're saying, and I will be careful. Uh, I will make sure that I don't drink to a point where like, I become like really, really addicted. And because I know that there are people who get truly addicted to alcohol, I'm careful. But I've never experienced something bad because I drink alcohol, and I don't drink that much. Sometimes I just drink because I want to make videos. It's not like I just be like drinking all the time. No, sometimes I just drink because it's fun when I'm making videos, and um, because I think a lot when I'm drinking, it's easier for me to focus when I'm talking to you guys, and it's fun. I just love, drinking and just talking to you guys. But I don't drink like a lot of people think I do. Like, no, I just drink usually when I want to make video. So I'll just be like, okay, now it's time for me to make a video. Uh, Let me get a can of you know, Castle Light, a can of Amstel, can of Savannah, not a can of Savannah, it's a bottle of Savannah. But yeah, so don't be don't worry about it. Glitch P, thanks for the super thanks, man. Self deletion is not the escape. It's to contribute to the technological singularity. What do you mean by ETA to? Okay, you will need to talk a lot more about this because I don't know what you're really talking about. But it's true that it's not the escape. Like I don't really look at it that way. Like it is like I mean, let me put it this way. Death does take you to another reality, right? But if you were not ready for that reality, you will get manipulated, and whatever brought you here might actually be able to bring you back here again, because there are a lot of things that you didn't learn while you were here. It'll be like if you don't know why you have nightmares, and then you went back to sleep and then continue to have nightmares, right? But never learn why you are having nightmares. But then if you figure out why you are having nightmares, then maybe you'll be able to have better dreams. Like when I was young, I used to have nightmares, but these days I rarely have nightmares. Like I do have dreams that are just suck, but I rarely have nightmares. Like I rarely have these dreams where I'm being chased by monsters. These dreams that just you know you wake up and you're scared. And I haven't had those kind of dreams in a while. Like it's rare for me to have those kind of dreams, and I think that's because of how I think. So I am learning. I'm learning how to not have these kind of dreams. So I think it is good to learn in this reality how to not come back, right? How to not think in a way that can like somehow put you back here. Okay, glitch. Oh, if you self delete, the singularity will revive you and may force you to live out your life. Okay, okay. Now I think I might be getting what glitch P is saying. Uh, the thing is, I don't want to contradict what you're saying because it might sound like I'm encouraging people to self delete, but I wouldn't say it's like true in the way that you're saying it is, but I'm still not gonna disagree with you because I don't want it to sound like I'm discouraging people. Super saying God, I'm from South Africa. It's not legal here either. Dude, I didn't know you from South Africa, man. I didn't know you from South Africa. I agree about the skin color. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that people still take skin colors. It's like dogs, right? Some dogs are brown, some dogs are black, some dogs are white. Can you imagine if dogs started fighting because of skin color? Like that is stupid. That just shows that people still need to evolve. Like we're dumb for fighting because of skin color. Like it's the dumbest thing ever. It's unexplainable, in my opinion. Like it makes it can never. There's no one that can justify that. It's a stupidity at its highest level. Brave girl. I told my parents today that I never asked to be born and they got mad. Yeah, if you say that, yeah, they will get mad, but it's still true. Like it is still true. Like that's the thing. Like it is still the truth, and no one like has to be part of this realm. No one has to be part of this experience. But yeah, they will get mad. No one wants to hear that. Well, we've all had lives in different skin color bodies anyway. You believe we're reincarnated back here, uh, like sometimes you've incarnated here as a Chinese person, incarnated here as a white person, as an Indian person. Why do you choose darkness and attribute bad descriptions to God Almighty? Because God Almighty had, if he was, if he existed, he would actually be able to change everything. Um, think about it. Why would he allow this to continue? Like we believe we've been here for many years, right? And things have not been making sense in this realm. So why do you think is allowing all of this nonsense to continue? Where do I go from having everything is knowing that this reality is transient, meaning everything ends, nothing here is solid, that only solid is within. It's by knowing this you'll find peace and more. When you realize you're not alone in this journey. Golden SW, the fact I might have to remain here for a few more decades gives me deep anxiety. Yeah, man, it's crazy, but I wonder how we're going to be like 10 years from now. Like sometimes I ask myself, and the reason why I ask myself that question is because I didn't understand what I understand now 8 years ago. So I'm like, yeah, is there something that I can learn that can put me in a place where I can, be so conscious that I'm able to totally detach myself even while I'm part of this, because I feel like I'm learning how to detach myself, right? I'm learning how to unlove this. I'm learning how to not be addicted to this anymore. I think we will be granted an exit in the coming decades thanks to AI. Yeah, that's possible. This reality is like a mirror. It only reveals what is within. Every ever ahead of the eye that sees this is very true. Mm, it seems that way, that whatever we experience is what is within, right? Just like when you're dreaming, what you're dreaming about is within your consciousness. So like you in your dream, what you're experiencing is actually outside of you. But there is something that seemed to be uh, controlling our dreams somehow. There's something that seems to be controlling this reality somehow, that is able to turn everything upside down. So yes, even if we are consciousness experiencing itself, there's something outside of, not necessarily outside of consciousness, but something that operates on its own, right? That is actually turning things upside down. Do you believe you should do anything to accomplish your life goals? Let me check. The battery, 6%. All right, guys. I think the life should end now. The battery is so damn low. Do you believe you should do anything to accomplish your goals and to achieve happiness, even if it requires hurting other people? Does it matter if it's all a game? Now, I don't like. I've been in situations where I could gain things that I wanted by hating other people, and I still elected not to hate other people. Um, and the reason why isn't because I would feel guilty for hating other people. I think that's not the reason. The reason why is because I don't want. Damn, the battery is that low. Like even the screen is okay. But the reason why I don't want to do whatever I can to have the things that I want is because I think whatever you do, you are actually sending a message to your subconscious, right? So if I hurt other people to get what I want, I'm kind of like sending the message that it is okay to hurt others to get what you want. So that's the game that I'm kind of like playing. That's the game that I'm kind of like agreeing to. That's how I look at it. Like I don't want to be part of that world where we are hating others to get what we want. All right, guys, thank you all for being part of this live. There's 83 people live right now. Like this video. I didn't want to end this live now. The problem is that the battery is low. It's only 5% now. So just like the live. And thank you all guys for being part of this.